Little song of my people. Iced coffee lovers unite. Welcome back, or welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kaylee, and on this channel I like to talk about spooky books, scary books, and all things horror. This month though, however, I am very excited because my November reading plans involve books that I wouldn't normally read from genres I wouldn't normally read, and I have a lot of really exciting and fun things planned with those reads to kind of kickstart me finding new love in different genres, because I do love horror. But unfortunately last month I read 24 books, which is not unfortunate, but 11 of those were 3-star books. So it was very much a month of quantity over quality. And I think that this month I just want to take a step back, not read so much, and not try and read so many books. Maybe I'll have more quality over quantity this month. And the big reason I jumped into reading so much last month is that, I've talked about this before, but I went through a very big reading slump between February and October where I did not pick up one book. I didn't buy a book. I didn't read a book for 8 months. And it was, I had a lot of mental health things going on. I wasn't making time for it. I didn't want to get immersed in anything. And now in October, something in me, I was just like, I miss reading. I want to read again. And I think it just kicked me into overdrive. And I was just, every spare second I had, I was reading. And don't get me wrong, I do love to read that way. But I think I was just trying to trick my brain into thinking, you love reading, remember? You love it. And I do love reading again, but I was like I do love reading, but I was pushing myself to read so much because I didn't want to fall back into that reading slump that I had. So I was just picking up whatever. I was like, I'll take this looks fine. And I really did enjoy reading. It's just that so many of my reading experiences were like, meh. And I don't want that. I want to have a good time when I'm reading, and I don't expect every book I read to be a 5-star read, but I do want to get more enjoyment, and I think to do that I need to slow down and really take in what I'm reading. Another thing I noticed is that I'm generally a forgetful reader anyway, but now I'm really forgetting things because I'm reading so much. I'm making space for the new things that I'm reading. So I don't really want to do that either. I want to be able to retain what I'm reading about until I can get it into my journal. That way I can talk about it down the road. All that to say, I am very excited about this month's reading plans and the TBR that I put together this month. And I hope you will enjoy it also. And before we get started, first of all, I just want y'all to look at my lovely spooky Christmas tree. We love it. It's amazing. But with all that said, sit back, get yourself a beverage, coffee, tea, arsenic. I don't judge. And let's start my reading plans. So the first books we're going to talk about is this stack right here. And these are the 5 novellas that I want to use to participate in Novella November this month. I picked all of these out for an upcoming reading vlog. I just haven't decided if the vlog is going to be a 24-hour readathon or a weekly reading vlog where I get through all of these. It will just depend on my plans this week, but I plan to get through all of these in one of those vlogs, and I'm very excited. The first book I plan to read in November is called A House at the Bottom of the Lake by Josh Malerman, and this is a coming-of-age horror, and it is about 2 young teens who find a house at the bottom of a lake, and they start exploring it, and from there things start to happen. I've gotten a lot of recommendations for this book. I really love coming of age stories, and I really like Josh Malerman's work, so I'm really excited to read this one. This one's been in my TBR for a long time, so this is the perfect month to pick it up and get through it. The next novella that I'm going to read is The Monster of Eldenhaven by Jennifer Geisbrecht, I think is how you pronounce her last name. One thing to know about me, and I've said it before, is that I am a sucker for a good cover art. If the cover art's good, I'm buying the book. I don't really care. I want it on my shelf. This is a perfect example of that. I did not know anything about this book, but I saw that it was a novella, and I also am in love with this gorgeous cover art. And this is about a entity that is stalking this town of Eldenhaven, but apparently this entity is run by someone else. So we're going to get down to how that works. I think there's magic in this world, so I'm very excited to read this one and going in kind of blind with it. The next novella I want to get to is Ring Shout by Peter Jelly Clark. And again, incredible cover art, absolutely terrifying. This book is about a group of monster hunters who are hunting down Ku Klux Klan members who have been turned into literal monsters. It is a retelling of racism in America, and I am very, very excited to get into this one. I do love creature feature horror, so it has that element to it. I think it's going to have a lot of social commentary, obviously, on race in America, and I like having a female lead protagonist and a group of monster hunters. Sounds right up my alley. I am very excited to get into this one. Now, the next two books that I'm going to talk about are in genres that I don't normally gravitate to and are very much out of my comfort zone, and that is fantasy and fantasy romance. But I'm just really excited to explore these genres, especially in a compact form. That way I can get the feeling and the vibe and decide which way I want to branch off. So the first one that I'm very excited about is called Across the Green Grass Fields, and this is by Shauna McGuire. And this is a book that is a standalone of her Wayward Children series, which I am also very excited to start. I plan to start that series in December, and I would like to read the whole thing. So her Wayward Children series starts with Every Heart a Doorway. So I will be talking about those in a future video. But for now, this is the only standalone in that series, and that's why I wanted to start with this one to give me an idea if I want to jump in. If I'm excited about the magical worlds and the creatures. So this is just going to be a nice jumping off point. And I just love the cover. And I've heard nothing but really wonderful things about Shauna McGuire books, so I'm very, very excited to start that one as I smack myself in the face. You guys ever do that? Like, not with a book, but maybe with a book, but like you're on your phone and scrolling and then smack yourself in the head? That just happened. Like, okay. The next book on my list is one that is way out of my comfort zone. Not only is it a fantasy, but it is also a romance. So I generally don't vibe with romance because being a Capricorn, I am a bitch who does not live in the clouds, okay? My feet are firmly planted on the ground, and like lovey-dovey, like fairy tale stuff doesn't do it for me. I find most romance to be unrealistic, and that's just my nihilistic earth sign approach to life, okay? I'm not taking romance away from anybody. Like, we need some more romance. I just can never get with it. But I am excited about this one because not only is it like a sapphic love story, but it involves monsters and hell. I generally like to read things about depictions of hell, so I'm excited about this one. And that one is Even Though I Knew the End by C.L. Polk. This one, y'all. So this book is about a detective who sold her soul to the devil to save her brother's life. And that she has one more job to complete before she serves an eternity in hell. But she decides she doesn't want to complete the job. She's just going to go serve her eternity. But her employer offers her the deal of a lifetime. If she does this deal for him, then he will give her the opportunity to spend the rest of her life with the woman that she loves. So we're going to be following her trying to solve the case of the Vampire of Chicago, I believe is the name. White City Vampire, which is a Chicago serial killer. So that sounds so exciting. I'm invested already. And the title leads me to believe that it don't end well, okay? And I hope I'm wrong about that, because I don't want to cry at books. But by God, does this book, I am invested. This might be the first one I read just because I am so excited about this one. A detective lesbian love story where hell is involved? Yes, very excited. I thought it might be time for a little sleepy puppy interlude. This is Breeze Breeze is an old man and he likes to snore and nap. So sometimes we just hold Breeze like this and we let him nap. So that's what we're gonna do while I talk about my next book. Plus puppies get views, right? Breeze is also a loaf, so he's very heavy. But the next book I want to talk about is a book that I am probably most excited to vlog for this channel, because if you couldn't tell by my dog's name, Breeze, I live in Louisiana. Specifically, I live in New Orleans, and I am going to be vlogging Almost There, which is a Disney retelling of The Princess and the Frog. And from what I could tell, this is the highest rated retelling, which obviously, being a New Orleans girl, Princess and the Frog is my favorite Disney movie. So I thought it would be fun if I took you guys all around New Orleans while I read this book. I was thinking about in the morning going to Cafe Du Monde to have beignets, then taking the streetcar down St. Charles so you could see all the houses, and go to Audubon Park and take you out there and read, and then later going to the cemetery so you could all of our above ground tombs and mausoleums, because they're beautiful. And I just think it would be so much fun to spend the day reading this book and taking you around the city and then finishing it up. I'm gonna probably do a 2 or 3 day reading vlog, but I'll spend one day taking you around to places that are referenced throughout the book and referenced in the movie. Does that sound like so much fun? I picked up this book and I was like, we are absolutely doing a New Orleans vlog, because I live steps from the French Quarter. Look at this loaf. And I just think it would be so lovely to take you guys around, especially this time of year, because it's not quite fall yet, so it's very lovely outside. You can still be outside and doing a lot of fun activities. And I very rarely get to be a tourist in my own city because I work on Bourbon Street, so I'm literally always in the shit of New Orleans. So when I'm not at work, I tend to stay away from the touristy areas. So I think it would be fun not only for me to be a tourist in my city, but to take you guys along. So let me know in the comments if you like that idea and if you're excited about something like that. Meanwhile, I gotta put this loaf down because he's making my arm tired. But look at that baby boy. Hello. Hello, baby boy. Be right back. And finally, to wrap up my month in reading, I picked up 2 books from 2 indigenous horror authors. The first book I'm going to read is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. And if you watched my October wrap-up, you know that my first book from Stephen Graham Jones I did not enjoy. Night of the Mannequins was not for me. I gave it 2 stars. However, this one comes highly recommended, and I'm very excited about it. It is about 4 American Indian men who did something in their youth and now it is coming back to haunt them. So it's about cultural identity. It explores folklore in indigenous cultures and looks at friendship through the eyes of this group of indigenous men. So I am very excited to read this one. And finally, the second book by a indigenous horror author is going to be White Horse by Erica T. Worth. This one, first of all, the cover, stunning. It very much reminds me of Marla in Fight Club. Gorgeous. But this is about a woman named Carrie who has an estranged relationship with her family, and she is given a bracelet that once belonged to her mother, and now she thinks that her mother's ghost is haunting her. So we're going to dive into some explorations of cultural identity again within the indigenous community and explore some more of their folklore. I am very excited about this. It comes highly recommended, and a lot of horror authors that I love have blurbed about it, so very excited to get into this one. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing or give me a thumbs up. It really helps me in the algorithm, and I will leave links to my other videos below so you can catch up on my October wrap up and my very first YouTube video. This is only my 3rd video, so I'm still learning, still getting things down. I want to say thank you to the people who reached out to me about forward filming, and I fix that in this video, so I hope that you can tell that you can see the books more clearly and that they aren't mirrored and flipped around. I hope that helps with your viewing experience and lets you enjoy it more, and I will see you guys next time.